stream from where the yolk was grown. As you can see, we are standing in the kitchen because this is a requested video. I was asked to make salsa and show how I can it because I have a lot of followers over on TikTok, and I had posted that I had canned up some of my salsa. And so one of them, well, many of them asked me to do a video and show them how I had done the canning of that salsa. So that's what we're doing in this video. Stick through to the end and then we'll go over what we're going to be preserving next in the upcoming videos. So let's get going. Okay, before we get into recording the video, I want to go over a few things that I think are very important points. The first thing is when you're using vegetables, whether they be from your own garden or you've went to a farmer's market and bought them, please wash and rinse them. Okay? It's very important. Wash and rinse before you can anything. The second thing is because we are using cold or, room temperature produce, and we're taking our jars and then putting them into a hot pan of water, the last thing we want is our jars to be cold and we put them in that hot water and they bust. So I've cleaned my jars and now I've got them soaking in just hot water here so they're coming up to temperature. That way when I put them into the boiling water, they don't explode in that boiling water. And then of course I've already done my washed and cleaned my rings. All of my items that I use, I always wash them. Now my rings and like my funnel and my handles and my little bubble popper here, I just pop those in the dishwasher. And same thing with the jars. If they've never been used, go ahead and pop them in the dishwasher and just make sure the inside gets clean. Now my lids, I will take those just before I put them on, and you'll see it in the video, and I'll use my handy dandy little magnet thing here and I will put it on here and I will dip them in that hot water, and that's going to activate that rubber ring around. And then I'll put it on the jar, seal it, and then we'll put it in the water. So let's get started and get this salsa made. Okay, so first let's go over the ingredients. I use, what have I got? 8 medium size tomatoes. I do not take the skins off of my tomatoes because this is going to be a fresh tomato salsa. If I was doing like a roasted salsa, I'd pull that skin off, but I'm not doing that, so we're going to leave the skins on, but you can remove the skin if that's what you want to do. I do it in the oven, but you could just easily do it right on the stovetop. Just score you an X in the bottom of this tomato. Put it in some hot water for a couple of minutes till you see that skin starting to pull back, and then put it into a bowl of ice water, and that stops the cooking process and the skins come right off. So we won't be doing that. The other thing I have is cleaned and rinsed an entire bundle of cilantro, and not a big bundle, okay? Now my onions were small, so to me that looks like a large onion. What y'all think? Look like a large onion? So, and then we like a lot of garlic in our salsa, so 3 large heads of garlic. 1 lime to start out with to taste, and then if you want some more lime in it, then you definitely can add some more. Salt and pepper to taste, and then I'm going to be using jalapenos from the garden. I have 2 that have already went red, and then I'm going to taste it, and if I feel like it needs some more heat, I've got a handful of jalapenos down here that I can add. But if you were buying these from the store, I would look for a large jalapeno. And you want to look for, you see those lines in the jalapeno? If the jalapeno has those lines, they tend to be hotter than the ones, say like this one who hasn't turned red yet and has no lines. They tend to be hotter than the ones that don't. So that's just my little cooking tip. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is rough chop and put into our food processor all of our onion and garlic. And I got a little trash bowl here in front of me that you can't really see on camera. And we're not gonna be fancy about chopping, we're just gonna get it done. The magic of TV and recording, everything has been diced, and we're gonna mix it all up together. Now I don't have salt or any of that stuff in here just yet, but we will here pretty soon. You can see how pretty it looks already. Okay, so we got to get the lime in here first before I do anything else. And I forget. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 limes just based off of the size of the bowl. Okay. Black pepper. And this is the Malta salt from Italy, and I'll link this down in the description. Let me know down in the comments, do you all make salsa with your tomatoes? You know what are your recipes? How do you make it? That would be great to know. Now I know it seemed like I put a lot of that salt in there, but honestly that salt is not like, it doesn't have a like salty strong taste, which is actually good. We're gonna taste this first. Let's give it, keep grabbing. We like it chunky, so definitely needs more salt. And we're gonna put more jalapenos in it because it doesn't have a lot of heat. Salt's perfect. Let's dice up these jalapenos and get them in here. My peppers don't have a lot of heat. I may have to pull out a hatch that I know has heat. Okay, we're gonna get this jar filled up, but let's see, I think you can see, when you go to get your salsa out, you can see this has a lot of water. Don't just pick it up and just put it in there. Try to drain some of that water off. You can always add it back in there because remember, this is gonna sit on a shelf. And the more water it has, it'll begin to separate and all the actual meat of the salsa will float to the top and all the water will float to the bottom. Okay, we're gonna move that over. I just wanted you to see. You can see how much is in there. Then we're just gonna push on it, get all those bubbles out. You don't have to use one of these. You could use a spoon. Some people say don't use a metal spoon, so I would use a plastic spoon. Okay, that's gonna sit down there. Okay, now I'm gonna show you how I get all the lids on them. So push all that down, make sure you get all the bubbles out like before. Okay. I can't get my camera too hot or too close to this water because it is steaming. So you can see that the water is not boiling, it's just hot. We're gonna take our lid. 2 things you're doing. You're heating up that ring, you're sanitizing that lid. And we'll bring it back, set it on top, screw our lid down. Just tight. Now you don't screw it down tight, just tighten it so the contents stay in. Okay. You can see that water doesn't quite cover, so we're gonna move them to the center. As soon as they come to the center, they're gonna cover. Just like that. And put our lid on, and we're gonna leave them in there. Says 20 minutes for, I'm sorry, 10 minutes for the small ones, but I'm gonna leave them in there for 15 minutes. When we get them out, we'll come back. Okay, they're ready to come out. Okay, we're gonna leave the lids on there. Ooh, those jars are hot. Leave that lid on there and let the jars cool completely. And then when they are cool completely, we're going to take the rings off of here. And nobody panic, okay? We're gonna check the seals and make sure that those seals are on. We do not leave the rings on. We store them without the rings so we don't get a false seal. Because what can happen if you leave the ring on and this pop, you're not gonna know because it can reseal back down. And what's happened once it pops open is air gets inside of here and it'll cause a lot of bacteria to grow. And you could eat something like this and not know that it's bad and get botulism. And that is no good for you or your body. So we want to make sure. Wanted to show you, these have been canned since 8/1/2022. And you can see how it separates. Down here, most people will have, this will be half water and this will be the meat. If you take some of that juice out and just the meat in there, then you're not gonna get that kind of separation. Okay, so like I said at the front of the video, we would talk about for future video preservation videos that are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. If you watched the tour where I talked about I had to get this tour done because I had to harvest all that basil. So we are going to be harvesting, and sorry, I have a new kitten who's about to get in a lot of trouble. He's quite the distraction. Everyone, this is Nasia. This is our newest, look up at the camera. This is our newest family member. Isn't he adorable? He's also very ornery. Okay. Okay, back to our video. Sorry for the interruption. So back to what we were talking about. We're going to be processing that basil, and we're going to be drying it, and I'm going to use my dehydrator, and then I'm going to show you how to, that I learned from a friend, and we'll talk about that in that video later on. But we were talking about how to dry it in the oven as well. And then we're also going to be making up pesto bombs, and we'll also be making up basil, olive oil, and garlic cubes in that video. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Go to the next video. I'll take care of yourself. You keep your heads up, and no matter how you do it, you keep growing. Bye-bye, y'all.